programs. Welcome back to Arc Neo Talks, I guess. Don't have a better name for this. Figured I'd leave the camera turned around this way. Yes, this is kind of the second bonus video to Starscream Week. But I thought it'd be fun just take a few minutes and ramble and rattle on about why I am a Starscream fanboy. Because I'm going to be perfectly honest. Especially if you just go by the G1 cartoon itself, Starscream's very much one of those really simple, like 80s, villain archetypes of, I'm the second in command, but I want to be in charge of the bad guys. Oh, curse you, Megatron, I could do better. And yeah, that's kind of as far as he went, at least at face value, but there's actually a lot of reasons that he's a pretty interesting character as you go through his different, especially as you look at his different incarnations. Because, you look at so many other characters and, most versions of, say, Megatron, most of them are, why throw your life away so recklessly, Prime? Some versions will have more development, but a lot of them stay true to that. Optimus Prime is always, my name is Optimus Prime. Freedom is the right of all sentient beings. And, big, long, inspirational dad speeches. And saying his name a whole lot. But Starscream especially really changes with the show that he's in. Or, I guess, the media he's in. Because, well, first of all, G1 Starscream. You look at him and, yeah, haha, he's second in command, doing that archetype, very common from stuff in the 80s. But then if you actually remember the 86 cartoon, one, when he had his opportunity to kick Megatron while he was down, he literally takes it, he just walks up to a beaten and dying Megatron and kicks him. And then when they're all, in the back of Astro Train trying to get back to Cybertron. Yeah, I know, spoilers for, what is that? 35-year-old movie now? 36? Very old movie. Yeah, he's the one who's got the guts to be like, I know how we'll jettison some weight. Oh, how it pains me to do this. And he just throws Megatron out the back of the spaceship. And then, when the ensuing battle happens for who's going to lead the Decepticons now, we don't see it. But apparently he won somehow. I don't know if he did it diplomatically or he overpowered people, robots. But the next time we see Starscream, he's sitting there, massive purple shoulder pads, a cape, and a crown, being crowned leader of the Decepticons. Somehow, he actually does it. Yes, then, he wears the crown for all of 12 seconds before, Galvatron walks up and, this is bad comedy, and disintegrates his butt. But, he actually does it, which already sets him apart from most characters in that archetype. And then there's, the whole thing about, his ghost coming back and trying to get a new body from what little is left of Unicron. A lot of fun stuff there. But then you get to the other versions of Starscream from later on. You get to, I want to say it was Armada, was the first time where we got a relatively noble Starscream. Now, mind you, this part is a little bit hearsay, but I do remember that the ultimate ending of Starscream in Armada, he ends up sacrificing himself to get the Autobots and Decepticons to work together and actually, work together to get rid of Unicron, which is already cool. So technically that version of Unicron was defeated because of this guy, though technically not this exact guy, but you know what I mean. You've got the Transformers Prime version where that one I loved so much because he starts out G1 Starscream. And, you're already there. It's especially in a modern day, you're like, okay, they let things change between episodes here. They don't have to always go back to the status quo. Why does Megatron put up with this backstabbing, maniacal little goon who's constantly trying to overthrow him? And the answer is he doesn't. Starscream gets thrown out of the Decepticons and has to try and go at his own. And he fails, learns from it, goes back to Megatron with his tail between his legs, because of course he does, but he then spends the rest of the series just happy to be second in command. He actually has the character growth to figure out, it doesn't work when I do that. I'm just gonna stay here and make sure Knockout doesn't take my place. I think his name was Knockout. But, again, you get a character with an actual character arc. That's, then, of course, the most, legendary thing, you've got the comic Starscream, who ends up being, co-president of Cybertron alongside Bumblebee. Starts out there just because he's power hungry, but ultimately, the end of it all, becomes a genuine leader and, again, sacrifices himself for the greater good because he realizes it's, he has a better time as a leader when he's actually being a good leader. So, yeah, that's kind of what it is, at least in terms of character. I love the character of Starscream. The different versions are interesting. And even when they're working with, the same archetype, they will do different things with it and take it in different places. And, there's also still something very enjoyable about bootlicking movie series Megatron, who's just constantly, Lord Megatron, I was so pleased to hear of your resurrection. I kept your throne warm for you while you were gone. Just this bootlicking, spineless worm with, 80% of his body mass is his shoulders. So, you've already got that. And then, to be perfectly frank, even if it wasn't for the characterization, I like planes and spaceships. I don't care that I'm 29. Airplanes and spaceships are really cool. And I can always count on whatever the new Starscream figure is to be cool. I own a lot of Starscreams, like I've mentioned. I can only name maybe 2 figures out of all of them that I don't think are great. And yes, when he has a low, he has a major low. Spoiler if I even ever do cover it, I hate the Voyager figure for Transformers Prime. Mostly because mine broke itself by sitting on a shelf untouched. You gotta love when they put tight hinges in clear plastic. Though, whatever, but yeah, it just sat there and broke, so I'm not a fan of that figure, and I have to find a way to replace his right arm now. Still works, though, but I don't like the fact it's got a chunk missing. But, 90% of the time, you get really cool stuff. I just got done rambling about why I love this figure. I've got an entire playlist of Starscream figures, and you'll notice most of them are very positive reviews. And, I understand liking Skywarp or Thundercracker better. I know Thew makes the joke of everyone's second favorite Seeker Thundercracker. In my case, yes, I have to admit, that is true. I really like Thundercracker as well, because of his color. But there's something very, I'd have to say elegant about just the color scheme you tend to get with Starscream. Most versions of Starscream, you're still getting some kind of blue, some kind of red, and then usually gray, but sometimes white. You've still got that general, very consistent color scheme throughout these crazy different versions of him. So, yeah, it's one, he's a really interesting character because they do really different things with him throughout the different series. I would go out as far to say he's probably the most varied in terms of, his characterizations throughout the different series. But then, if nothing else, I've found a higher rate of success getting a good figure by just buying Starscream figures. The Studio Series figures, both of them are fantastic. Some of the best Transformers I own. The Masterpiece movie one, Jet mode's not that great. The robot mode is incredible. So many versions of him. It's a good figure. It's a fun toy. Yes, I know, I'm almost 30 years old. I'm sitting here talking about toys, whatever. Starscream makes really good toys. So, yeah. Between his characterization and the fact that he's reliably something really, really fun and usually really cool to look at, those are the reasons that Starscream is and will always be my favorite robot. So, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully this week of Starscream stuff was fun, and I'll see about doing another one soon, but either way, I will see you guys next time.